impact.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, Nate?
Some injuries. We're all dealing with injuries. We're gonna work through, talk about our current strategies for dealing with them, what we're doing, how they came about.
Right. Who's got the worst injury?
I feel like Matt's is the longest lasting.
You think? Yeah.
Yours is kind of a chronic thing, right?
Ironically,
Yeah.
he's the youngest too. So.
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess I'll start off. So I've had 2 knee surgeries on my right knee, and it's pretty much been off and on since surgery. I'll always have some minor flare-ups, and it comes on a lot with volume. So what I mean by volume is when I start doing more than I'm accustomed to, my knee will respond with losing its range of motion. So I'll first notice it that I have a hard time extending it all the way, and it almost feels like I'm limping on it when I'm walking. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? But normally, like long walks, like lots of squatting. So if I increase my squatting volume, or if I go from like a normal style training going into like weightlifting, where I do a lot of squatting, something like that, it can be problematic for me. And some movements my knee just doesn't like. So like two and a half, probably 3 weeks ago, I did some kneeling squats, which I won't demo here. You want to demo some kneeling squats for me?
Kneeling squats.
So it's essentially a movement that's like a squat, but you're on your knees, and I don't have the ability to touch my butt to my heels like he does there, but I decided to try to do it under load to see if I could, and my knee did not like that. So it swelled. It didn't necessarily swell up, but like on the inside of my knee felt like they were swelling, so I wasn't able to fully extend or really fully straighten. And I knew it didn't cause any true like damage to the tissue or anything. It was just something it's chronic, and it comes and goes, and So I've been dealing with that. Ways I have been dealing with it is I'm trying to still do things through it. Like I'm not totally resting it. Like I want to be able to move through that range of motion as it feels more comfortable. So more recently, I've found that the elliptical is a great way of doing that. It's a non-load. I mean, it's load bearing, but it's not like running. It's not impact jarring. So I've just been going through the range of motion with the elliptical. Other than that, like I've been doing some like even voodoo flossing, and which is like there's not really good evidence behind voodoo flossing, but you know what? It feels good, and that's important for me right now. A lot of times we have injuries. A lot of it does come down to our perception of what's going on, and if I can change that perception even temporarily, that can be beneficial in some ways. So right now I've just been really doing my best to actually rest it in a way of, but I'm still doing elliptical. I'm still doing some easy stuff, but just not push it too hard. It's starting to get its range back. I'm hoping next week they'll be able to squat again.
I feel like you're really missing an opportunity to only work your upper body forever. So,
You already have the biggest
that's
arms.
true. That is
so you
true,
can
though.
get bigger arms.
But for people who do get injured, like there's even a book, like The Gift of Injury, is like just because I'm injured doesn't mean that I need to stop everything I'm doing. Like a lot of times we paint this picture in our head of like it's very negative of, man, never gonna be able to squat again. There's 100 pounds. I've been working so hard, and it's just like if you change that script inside your head of like, now it's my time to get strong and swole upper body. It definitely makes things better though. Like so now I'm training 3 to 4 days a week upper body, and I'm like, man, yeah, feeling big. My shirts are fitting a little better. So yeah.
No, it's important, especially to have fun. Like you were saying, upper body, lower body. You got a lower body injury, take some time off down there, work on it, get swole up top.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit differently. Like I've got a goal in mind. I want to run the Charleston Half Marathon January 11th. I'm not a runner, never been a runner. I am enjoying running, but I've always been good at picking up heavy shit and putting it down. So to take on the running is definitely a little bit of a different beast. And I've been having like a reoccurring problem with my right leg. I'm up to anywhere between 3 and 7 miles at a time right now, and seems like I get into that run at the later stages, and I've had 2 times that my right calf has kind of cramped up, like just a very acute situation where it just spikes. And then the other one was I kind of felt like a little bit of knee pain / hamstring pain there at the end of one of my long runs. And so, you know, having a goal in mind, like it does scare me to take time off or to like push things off, because I know that I have to get to 13 miles by January 11th. I've only got 5 weeks left. So what am I doing to manage it? Same types of things. I'm doing rehab. I'm loading the calf and the Achilles slowly. I'm doing squats. I'm making sure that I get in the actual exercise. But the other things that I'm doing is when I go out on my run, I'm just monitoring it. So I'll run as long as it doesn't have that increase in pain past like a 3 out of 10. If it's 3 out of 10 or below, I'm gonna keep going and just keep pushing through it. If it does spike, like it did yesterday, it turned into like a 6 or 7 out of 10, like very quickly, almost in the course of like 2 steps that I could remember. So I just shut it down and I walked the rest of the way home. I still got in 3 miles. I feel a lot better today. I squatted today. I did some rolling on it. I'm gonna get some needles done on it here later this afternoon for some dry needling to get that tissue to kind of calm down. And I've loaded it. I've done some calf raises, some seated calf raises, and we're just gonna kind of see how this week progresses. So, you know, I'm not necessarily putting everything on the side, but I'm decreasing the volume to a point that doesn't have a flare-up in pain, and then I'm addressing it from you know, an exercise and rehab standpoint throughout. So I'll try to monitor what I do with some Instagram stories as we go on the next couple weeks to show you all what I'm kind of doing to tackle it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I really liked how you, before we go on, I really liked how you said that like you do experience pain on like a daily, sometimes daily basis.
Right.
Like you have a 2 out of 3 or 4 out of 10 pain, and that you don't shut things down. I think a lot of times we get nervous when we think of pain. We automatically think pain is bad, shut down. But like he said, he kind of managed it. And if it got into a like intolerable range where he's like, oh, now it's turning kind of sharp, it's getting worse, I keep going, then he shut it down. I think that's a good lesson for like our listeners of like, just because you have pain does not necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I think Nate will probably talk a little bit more about that. That's really what he.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I've got 2 things going on right now, lower body and upper body. So I'm having a rough time. Good. Yeah. So I couldn't just make my upper body swole, unfortunately. The lower body, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's kind of, I think it's a combination of glute tendinopathy combined with some sciatic nerve irritation. I've had it before a few years ago. Basically, anytime I deadlifted over 225, I get like a stabbing pain in the bottom of my right butt cheek, right around the sciatic nerve.
So real quick, that was like not even 50%, right?
The what? Yeah,
not even 50%. He's getting a
50%,
stabbing pain. So that's an indication there's something going on.
Yeah, going out to sumo stance made it way, way, way worse. I tried sumo for a while. It was significantly worse. Kind of went away. This was this was in PT school, so didn't really know what I was doing yet at that point. But it just went away on its own. And then more recently, it started flaring up again, probably like intermittently for about the last 6 months. Sometimes I can deadlift without pain. Sometimes I deadlift 315 and it hurts. Squatting was pretty good, but it started to hurt a lot with squatting right above parallel. And I recently started going to a gym, AE Fit, where they have mirrors, which is the first time I've been in a gym with mirrors in a while. And like you could very clearly see like I'm basically squatting on my left leg and not using my right leg when it gets heavy. And so it's only heavy loads. It's only like squatting over 300 or deadlifting over 300. And I think it's when my butt cheek gets involved in the lift. And so when I'm squatting heavy, if it's light, I pretty much just use solely my quads straight up and down, torso stays upright. Anytime I start to like turn it into a little bit more of a hip hinge with a heavy enough load, it hurts a lot. And that even happens with front squats. If I front squat over 300 pounds, it starts doing that too. So what I've basically been doing is I had one of our friend PTs, Mesa, come in, who owns In The Box PT, and she checked it out and she had me do a bunch of stuff. And there are some like significant weaknesses on my right leg compared to my left with my adductors, so I've been strengthening those. And then to try and maintain muscle mass in my lower body, I've been doing a lot of blood flow restriction training, which is tourniqueting your legs with our super cool blood flow restriction training machines and squatting light loads, right? So it's heavy loads that get me, so lifting light enough so it doesn't flare up symptoms, but you still get that same good muscle growth response. It's been kind of horrific. I don't like the blood flow restriction, but I'm doing it.
Should see his face.
Yeah,
it's good face.
I've been spending like at least 90 minutes 3 times a week, upper body and lower body on it. For my upper body, 2 years ago, I tore my long head bicep tendon on the left side and got a slap tear. And I ended up having to have surgery on that because I kept doing stupid things, and I was really like wanting to be a competitive CrossFitter at the time, which was never going to happen. But you know how it goes. Yeah, that was never going to happen. So I just kept doing stupid things that irritated it, and eventually the long head bicep tendon completely snapped, and I ended up having to get surgery to fix it. The shoulder's still a a little bit weaker, a little bit less range of motion the other side. About 3 weeks ago, I was doing some concentration curls, trying to make my biceps huge. And I felt my right long head bicep tendon snap just a little bit.
15 pounds, right?
That is like 70. No, it was like, it was.
70.
That was pretty light. So like I went down and I felt it go pop, 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 and was like, what was that? And then I did another rep and it went pop, 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 and was like, I should not do that anymore. And so everything with my right bicep kind of hurts at this point, just right in the front of the shoulder here. And then that long head bicep tendon is also really involved in overhead stability, like anterior stability of the shoulder. So pretty much everything with my right shoulder hurts a lot, and it made me really sad because I like pressing. So I've been, same kind of thing, like just working the rotator cuff, keeping that strong, and then doing everything I can with a blood flow restriction training to maintain muscle mass. The nice thing about this time versus the last time I did it is I'm not delusional about my chances at being a competitive CrossFitter. And I'm gonna not be stupid on this right side, not continue to do things that irritate it. And in the meantime, I'll maintain muscle mass. In about 8 to 12 weeks, that tendon should pretty much heal up. It should be good to go. So just gonna keep BFR in my life away, and just sucking my soul out, and at some point it'll be better.
These makes your forearms look like.
I know, the veins are just.
Chiseled and all.
Yeah, and I think BFR is a great way to go, like for both of these situations, and mine included. I'm using it, if I couldn't run tomorrow when my running comes, I'll put that on, I'll get on the treadmill and I'll walk for close to 20 minutes with the BFR on. I'll get very much the same stimulus, maybe not the same cardiovascular, but at least from a muscle standpoint, and even better probably from a muscular standpoint. And really, just utilize the tools that we have to kind of speed up the process. The process is still going to take time. The process is still going to need work, but as long as we don't just quit, right? We got to keep moving. I think if you train as hard as all of us do, or as hard as anybody that's working towards something that they want, you're going to encounter something that causes pain or discomfort, and it's knowing what to do, or at the very least who to contact in the case that happens.
Yeah, and so much of it's about managing like your pain and symptoms, and not necessarily like truly eliminating it. It's like we want to give you the tools necessary that when this does happen, because the most common having knee pain, the most common reason for having knee pain, or I guess the correlation is having knee pain previously. So it's like, don't expect that you're going to ever go to someone and they're going to completely fix you. They're going to improve your symptoms, but they should give you the tools necessary for when it happens again. You know what to do. Like, pain is normal. We all have pain. We all experience aches and pains, but we know how to manage it and help other people manage it as well.
I think that's a wrap.